Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to the second webinar for our JustCows platform. And my name is Dennie. I'll be your host for tonight. And this webinar can actually be called as a title, How to Be Rich. And I know when some people hear that, the first thing you think about is what you have been programmed to think, right? That almost being rich or being wealthy is almost like a dirty word. Immediately, your mind starts to reject the idea. But tonight, I'm going to introduce you to the richest man that ever lived. And you will see that it is not such a grandiose idea. And this idea can be replicated today. Today, in this time period that we're living in, it is said that this is the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. So by definition, that means that you would have the best possible chance of being able to use this massive shift to yourself learn how to become wealthy. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the greatest man, the richest man that ever lived. And it would not be who you would think. You would think maybe at Bezos or some of these guys, you know, the founder of Facebook, etc. But let me show you who this gentleman is. And right here, we're going to reference this video. I'm going to go through this video, sort of fast forward some of it. So I'm not going to take up the whole 14 or 15 minutes. I would like you to go on YouTube and look for Meet the Richest Man Who Ever Lived and get some idea of who this man is and how he was able to accomplish such a task. So let's listen in for a few moments. We'll skip through the video in the interest of time.
42 here. According to Forbes, last time they published their rich list, Amazon owner Jeff Bezos was the richest man in the world, with a fortune estimated at around $177 billion. That's a number that's quite hard to get your head around. So let me put it this way. Jeff Bezos' personal fortune is larger than the GDP of 75% of countries around the world. That's one man wielding the equivalent riches of a nation, and a fairly big one at that. This is a level of wealth nobody could conceivably spend in a lifetime, no matter how expensive their tastes. Seriously, Jeff is 57 years of age at the time of recording this video. Now, he's probably going to have his head cryogenically frozen and live forever, but for the sake of making a point, let's assume he's going to live to 80. In order to use up all of his $177 billion before he died, discounting interest, he would need to spend almost $22 million every single day for the rest of his life. That's well over 10 times the average income an American makes over his entire career, every single day for about 8,400 days in a row. Yeah, but here's something really interesting. Whilst Jeff Bezos may well be the richest man in modern times, he isn't the richest human being ever to have lived. In fact, remarkably enough, if you adjust for inflation, he isn't even close. The individual who holds that title is estimated to have been in possession of a fortune well over twice the size of poor old Jeff's and larger than the fortune of Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Warren Buffett, and Jack Ma combined. The funny thing is, despite his vaunted financial position in the annals of human history, there's a very good chance you've never even heard of this guy. That being the case, let me introduce you. This is Mansa Musa, the richest man in history. As for why you haven't heard of him, there are two good reasons for that. First, he was born almost 750 years ago. And second, he was the Sultan of the Mali Empire. Most of my viewers live in Europe and the US. Two parts of the world where school systems have not traditionally put a lot of emphasis on African history. But that's a shame, because the Mali Empire, the largest ever seen in Western Africa, was really quite something. At its height in the 14th century, it covered almost 500,000 square miles and was home to around 5% of the world's population. It rose incredibly quickly in the space of just a couple of generations during what's known as the Golden Age of Trade in Africa. The rise of the Mali Empire was built on its unfathomable wealth, and that came primarily from two things: gold and salt, both of which were in rich local supply. So much so that, at the time, approximately half of all gold in the old world, that's Europe, Africa, and Asia, came from just 3 gold mines in Mali. The idea that a vast fortune could come from gold is no surprise, but the fact salt was such a major factor might seem a little odd when viewed through our modern lens. But in many parts of 14th century Africa, salt was an incredibly valuable commodity. To the right buyer, it was literally worth its weight in gold. As unlikely as that may sound, it actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. After all, salt is an essential part of the human diet. We quite literally can't survive without it. It also happens to make bland food much more palatable, and it can be used as a preservative, which was especially useful before the invention of reliable refrigeration. So in regions where salt was sparse, it was priceless. Gold, on the other hand, is shiny. We use it in all sorts of things today, from electronics to spaceships, but the fact it looked kind of...
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so this is just a bit of a teaser on this particular video. And what you can do is research, go back to YouTube and find, just type in, meet the richest man who ever lived. So you can actually be able to go through the entire process of exactly how he became that wealthy. And even today, his empire actually stretches far greater than all of the people that you know as wealthy people in our time zone. And that was only over 750 years ago. So what I'm going to do is stop this video right here, guys, and then just go to YouTube on your own time, type in the richest man who ever lived, and you will come to this video that explained a little bit about that gentleman called Musa. So let's have a look at what can we do in modern times, guys, in order to be able to realize maybe we're not as ambitious as being able to be, have as much fortune as Mansa, but at the same time, since this is announced to be the greatest transfer of wealth in human history, it kind of makes sense that if we were to pay attention and perhaps employ some sort of a strategy through this great transfer of wealth, that maybe, just maybe, we might be able to become rich ourselves, because we just studied the richest man that ever lived. And that gives us some clues when you watch the video. So now we're going to look at how one can become extremely wealthy in this very fertile soil of the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. And then I'm going to give you a platform and show you a platform that is possible today. I have been personally experimenting with that platform for the last 5 months. It's absolutely fantastic. And let's see how we can put the little magic piece into this to make it as successful as we know it can be. So let's just watch this very short video that gives you a clue as to how you can do this.
Phenomenon and how to use it to your advantage. Have you ever wondered why some millionaires have so much money and yet you hardly see them work for it? Do you sometimes get concerned that you won't have any money saved up for your child's education or for your retirement? Do you want to get out of the rat race of working a 9-to-5 job and become financially independent when you're in your 40s? In today's video, I'll reveal a secret formula and strategy which the rich have used and passed down through their generations. And the funny thing is, most people aren't even aware of it, yet it's so simple. But before I do that, let me tell you an old story of a king and one of his countrymen. There was once a very powerful king ruling over a vast territory. His kingdom was so large that some claimed that his kingdom stretched as far as the eyes could see, and that it took men on horses months to cover one end of his kingdom to the other. His riches and wealth seemed to have no bounds. This king enjoyed playing games, and after playing every kind of game that was available at that time, he challenged his countrymen to invent a game that would impress him. After a few weeks had passed, a man came to the king's palace and requested the presence of the king to show him a newly invented game. This game was called chess, and it was a strategy-based game. The king was so impressed by the new game that he said to the man, "Name your reward." The man thought for a moment and then responded, "Oh, Emperor, my wishes are simple. I only wish for this. If you place just 1 grain of rice for the first square of the chessboard and double it for every square, I will consider myself well rewarded." The king was reluctant at first, as he wanted to give the man a much bigger reward for his invention, perhaps in the form of gold, but eventually agreed to give what the man had asked for. Upon the king's order, his treasurer started to calculate the amount of rice that needed to be given to the inventor. The treasurer placed 1 grain of rice on the first square, 2 on the second square, 4 on the third square, and so on. By the time he reached the 10th square, he had to place 512 grains of rice. On the 20th square, the number swelled up to 524,288 grains of rice. Halfway through the chessboard, the number had reached 2,147,483,648, or approximately 2.15 billion. When the treasurer reached the last square on the chessboard, he realized that the king owed around 9.2 quintillion grains of rice to the inventor. The figure was so huge that eventually the king, to honor his word, had to leave his throne and give it to this wise man. This story explains the power of compounding. It's also sometimes called the 8th wonder of the world. Never underestimate the power of compounding. The rich are very well aware about the magic of compounding, and that's why you will rarely find them burning their precious hours working a 9-to-5 job. Instead, they will let their money work for them by utilizing the power of compounding. If you haven't already figured out how the rich make their money work for them, let me tell you, it's simple. They make investments that compound in value over a long period of time. To illustrate this point, let's take the example of Jack, who is currently a 25-year-old man and has savings of $1,000. He can realistically earn a yearly return, yielding somewhere between 8% to 14% on his investments annually. The MSCI World Index has an average yearly return of 8.7%, so let us assume he invests his $1,000 savings through his index fund. This is how his investment of $1,000 will grow over time. When Jack turns 65 years old and is in his retirement, his $1,000 would have compounded to $21,725. This is a huge amount, considering Jack had only made a single one-time investment of $1,000. It represents more than a 2,000% return, or in other words, his investment has increased 20-fold. Some of you might be thinking to yourself right now that 21 grand is a solid return, which it is, don't get me wrong. But although $21,725 is a good amount of money to have at age 65, especially when you only invested $1,000, that money won't last long, and it'll soon run out. It might afford him a luxurious vacation or two, but by no means does it permit him to quit his 9-to-5 grind. So the question is, how can Jack or you use the magic of compounding to turn into a millionaire then? Let us now consider the example of Jill, who has done her undergraduate studies in finance from a well-reputed business school. She has learned about the power of compounding and how to harness it to achieve her goals and dreams. After her graduation, she lands a job which pays $4,000 in monthly salary. She makes sure she saves $1,000 per month and invests this through the same index fund that Jack did, earning a yearly return of 8.7%. She is 22 years old right now and plans to make regular monthly investments until her retirement at the age of 65 years old. Still skeptical if she'll become a millionaire? Let's see how her investment pans out, assuming an 8.7% yearly rate of return. If she continues to stay true to her investment strategy, putting $1,000 into an index fund, she will become a millionaire at the age of 47. Yes, you heard that correctly. Just by investing $1,000 every month, she will attain the status of a millionaire within 25 years, since she first started investing. If she keeps at it, investing $1,000, in another 18 years, before she reaches her retirement age of 65, she would have accumulated another $4.68 million. Therefore, at the age of 65, Jill's investments would be worth an astronomical value of $5.68 million, which is more than enough money to enjoy a happy retirement if you ask me. So, in conclusion, if you're under 25, you have one of the biggest advantages when it comes to harnessing the true potential of the compounding effect, which is time. Time will be your greatest ally in your fight to financial freedom. Start saving regularly while you're young. This will give your investment portfolio the time it needs to really ripen the fruits. Let me give you an example of 3 investors who start investing at different stages in their lives, each of whom saved the same amount of money over a 10-year period. So, Michael started saving $1,000 per month from the time he turned 25 until the time he was 35. At this age, he stopped making investments completely and left the savings in his account to accrue at a 7% return until he turned 65 years old. Jennifer did not start saving until she was 35 years old. She saved the same amount of $1,000 per month till she was 45 years old, after which she left the balance in her account to accrue at 7% return until she turned 65 years old. Sam never got around to investing until he turned 45. He started investing $1,000 till his 55th birthday, after which he also left the balance to accrue at a 7% yearly rate until his 65th birthday. Over the 10-year period, all three were able to save the same amount of $120,000 and earn the same rate of return of 7% over it. However, because the total value of their investments was significantly different when they reached the age of 65, Michael had accumulated a whopping $1,444,969, whereas Jennifer was able to muster a net value of $734,549. Poor Sam lagged far behind with a balance of just $373,407. So what lessons do we learn from the strategy that Michael followed? Thanks to the power of compounding, time is the most important variable a young investor has on his or her side. Start investing early by contributing a small portion of your income into your savings account or whichever other investment vehicle you've opted for. Continue doing this consistently for at least 10 years, and you will realize that after the 10-year period, you might not even need to save at all. At the age of 35, while all your other friends are struggling to make their ends meet, you will be well settled, enjoying a handsome return on your portfolio. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found value in this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. With that said, I'll see you in the next one.
All right, guys, so I hope you learned quite a bit from that particular video. And again, you can reference this by becoming a millionaire compound interest, how to grow money, right? So obviously go on YouTube, you will be able to find that information. Okay, now you may be wondering and saying to yourself, yeah, well, that sounds great. We saw the example of the wealthiest man. We know, okay, that compound interest can work quite nicely. But where can we put it that, number one, we're going to not lose our original capital, right? Because a lot of us in the past, we have tried many things and not succeeded because we lost our original capital. So that's the number one rule. Don't lose the original capital. Number two, obviously be able to have some sort of interest and fees that's made on that capital. And then, of course, number three is the magic of compound interest. So once you can find something that can do that, then you are well on your way to creating what we call generational wealth. So big question, where do you find it? Well, if we're living in the most interesting time in human history and the greatest transfer of wealth in human history, then it stands to reason that it's right in front of us. And it absolutely is. That space is called DeFi, decentralized financing. It means that everything is shifting from a central banking system where you go to the bank, you put your money in, you get zero, right? To where each of us can put our funds directly into this decentralized financing space and be able to earn interest on that funds that we have available. So then the question is, okay, then what should we put into it? Well, if you have been following cryptocurrency, I don't have to tell you which is the best cryptocurrency on the market, bar none. Since 2008, it started out at 20 cents. And today, as of this recording, it's about $39,000. And yes, you guessed it, that would be Bitcoin. So wouldn't it make sense that if you held Bitcoin and just putting it in a wallet and you were able to accrue interest and fees on that Bitcoin, and you had a very good return? Now, in that video, it used to take decades in order to do this, right? At 7 to 10% or 12% per annum, it will literally take years and years for your money to double. But in this decentralized financing world, that it was just possible 12 months ago, prior to 12 months ago, which is 1 year, this would not have been possible. But today, you can receive anywhere between 8 to 18% per month in this decentralized finance space, holding the currency, which is the #1 in the world and will be for some time. So there you have a place that you can put it, that you know it's not going to go to zero. You also have a space and an industry that's very young, very similar to when Bitcoin was only 20 cents, right? You are in that space right now, in the DeFi space. And obviously, now that you know about compounding, putting all of those things together, it stands to reason that this gives you the best chance ever to succeed as far as financial independence is concerned. Okay, so what you need to do after this presentation is to get back to the person that invited you to this webinar, get all the information, and then proceed. So one of the first things you'll need to do, and we're going to wrap up with this last video, it's a video on how to download the interface or the app. It's called a decentralized application, right? And this decentralized application is the tool that you need that you can download to your phone. And then with some instructions, we're going to show you where you can plant this money tree. Some people say money don't grow on trees, but it actually does. It just doesn't grow on a mango tree or an orange tree or an apple tree, right? That's why they call it seed capital. You plant it, it grows, it produces fruits, you replant it, you keep replanting it over and over and over again, take a little bit, replant the majority of it, and that's the magic of compounding. We have found that platform. So I just want you to watch this very short video that will show you how to download this interface. It's called a decentralized application. And this video will explain to you how to do that. So just stay tuned for the next few minutes and we'll wrap it up.
It's a new video to show you how to set up or download Token Pocket Wallet or to participate in the JustCows program. You can use any Tron wallet, but we recommend using the Token Pocket Wallet. So first you'd go to the App Store or Play Store from Google, or App Store from Apple. You're going to search for Token Pocket. There it is, Token Pocket Wallet, the blue sign with the P inside. You click on that. Then you're going to install the app. So you have to accept these terms, and Token Pocket is going to download. You're going to have it set up all ready to go participate in the JustCows program. This wallet can be used for other purposes, for storing your coins or trading on some swap platforms. And now we're looking at it for using it for JustCows protocol. Okay, so it looks like it's almost done loading. See, some people are using the Tron Link Pro wallet, but Token Pocket we find works best. So now it's downloaded, we can open it. Okay, so it's opening, and it'll have an icon on your screen. Now you're going in for the first time, so you have no account. We're going to click no accounts. We're going to create one. Okay, when you come to this page, what we want to do is create a Tron wallet. So you see Tron there. 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Click on Tron. Click create wallet. And now you're going to set up a password. You can put a name to the wallet, whatever you want to call it. You can take all of that out. Call it wallet, whatever you want to call it. You can put that in. And you set up a password. Let's see. I set up a password here. It's easy and simple. Okay, we set up a password, check off that you've read the terms and conditions, and you create a wallet. If they want a longer password, so I'm just going to add a couple characters on here. Create a wallet. Okay, you need at least 8 characters for the password, and it should be a strong password, by the way. And you need to save that, write that down. Don't just keep it in your head. I've seen too many people forget the password 10 minutes later. Okay, you're going to come to this page, and this page is very important. It's going to tell you that they're going to give you 12 words, that those words need to be kept safely. You should write them down. Don't take a screenshot and keep it on your phone, because if you get hacked, somebody get those words, they can access your account. These 12 words will give you access. If you lose your phone crashes, you just re-download this app, and instead of creating an account, you import an account. But got it, we need the 12 words. So these are the words here. This is a dummy wallet. I'm not going to be using this wallet. I'm just showing it for information purposes. So these are the 12 words. You're going to use them. I'm just going to take a quick picture of it. So you said you got it. You have to say you've written them down. Don't take a picture. I'm just using it for this purpose. So when you go to this page, you have to put all the words in the proper order, 1 to 12 from left to right. So in this case, first one is rice. Second is resource. Third is heavy. Fourth is infant. Dragon. Legend, office, lucky, day transfer. Done, confirmed it. There you go.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, after you have downloaded your Token Pocket wallet and you have secured the what I'm calling keywords, okay, by writing it down and having it in a safe place, the next step is to populate your wallet with the assets that you're going to be using. So right about where I see, of course, it has Tron TRX already populated in it. Then you're going to add a couple more. One of them we're going to add is USDT. So if you look just above the 0 right here, you'll see that plus sign. So you simply tap on the plus sign and allow it to populate. Okay, so it's going to bring up these tokens, as you can see right here. The one we're looking for is USDT, so we need that one. So you're going to go ahead and just tap on the plus sign. It's going to change to a minus. That means that it has been added to your wallet. So the next thing we want to do with USDT is we want to look for BTC, Bitcoin. So we're going to scroll down, we see BTC right there. Okay, so again, you do the same thing. Tap on the plus sign, it changes to a minus sign. And there's one more I want you to add. This one is a token. It's a token that we're going to be using in the very, very near future. So that one is not listed here. So at the very top of the phone, you would see it says search. So I'm going to just tap on that and I'm going to type milk, M-I-L-K. And it's the bottle right there. You see that milk bottle with the blue sign, right? I'm going to touch on the plus as well and add that to the front of your wallet. This milk token is unique to your wallet. So definitely be sure to make note of that. So now we're just going to go right back to the front of the wallet just by tapping on the arrow at the bottom of the screen. And as you could see, they are all populated right here. We have Tron, we have USDT, we have Bitcoin, and we have the token milk that we will use very soon. So of course, as you use this more and more, you needed to add more assets. That's the easy way to do it. Tap on the plus sign above the 0. Look for the assets you want to add to the wallet. Tap on it, changes to minus sign, which adds it to the front of your wallet. So I hope this has been very helpful to you. Definitely this year, let's make it our best year ever. So until next time, see you at the top.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is the information that you have been looking for. So not only do we have an example of the wealthiest man, the richest man that ever lived, we also have one tool, which is compounding. And now we also have the Token Pocket wallet. And the Token Pocket wallet can be considered the pitchfork that if you are farming money, which is what we're really going to be learning to do, you need that wallet and the download, as we say. So in the next presentation, we're going to go ahead and we're going to be training you a little bit more on that. So before we take some questions, I'm just going to stop the recording. Okay, and then we are going to take some questions. So one moment.